Hello friends, it's Ariella and I'm here to show you how to make the masks that I am making to help with the COVID-19 situation that is currently happening. Now the masks that I make, I sort of amalgamated different patterns that were online and made my own based on A, what I like to make, because I knew that if I didn't like making them, I wouldn't make a lot. And B, what some of the safety and comfort procedures were that I saw out there. So I'm going to show you what I do. There are a million different patterns out there. If you don't want to use this one, don't, but I'm showing you how to do mine. This is not protective against the virus. It is a double layer, triple pleated cotton with an insert for a mask or for a filter. But it doesn't protect against COVID-19. But what it does do is keep you from touching your face. It keeps you from getting anything that's like, if you happen to sneeze, your stuff isn't getting everywhere. And we just need to make sure that we are doing as much as we can to try and help combat it. There is a pocket in mine where you can put something for filtration, and there are a lot of different options, but we're going to talk about what you can do even if you're not an expert seamstress or sewer. What do we call these people? I don't know, whatever. Even if you're not expert at sewing, you should still be able to come up with something. All right. All right. So the first thing you need is cotton fabric. Now, if you don't have cotton fabric at home, you probably do. You probably have some pillowcases that are cotton that maybe you don't use anymore. You could totally use those, or bed sheets or anything like that. I've seen instructions with flannel or with cotton, or flannel is made of cotton usually, or a combination of the two, but you do want to use cotton fabric. It's breathable, it's washable, and you can even, for these cotton ones, they can go in the microwave for short periods of time pretty safely so that you can zap any viruses that might be on there as well. Okay, so you need, for my design, you're cutting two pieces out of 9 by 7, 9 inches by 7 inches, two rectangular pieces. So what I do when I'm using regular cotton fabric is I just cut a 9-inch strip, and then I cut those into 7-inch pieces. Now, if the fabric goes the other way and the pattern is going the other way, then you can cut a 7-inch strip with 9-inch sections, but it's going to not be as efficient of a use of fabric. So I'm trying to use fabric as efficiently as possible so I can make as many as possible. All right, I use a rotary cutter and a ruler for this, but you don't need to do that. You can literally just cut out with a pair of scissors two pieces of cotton fabric 9 by 7, okay? So that's the first part. That's gonna make up the main part of your mask. The second part, and out of this one strip, I got enough to make 3 different masks. All right, so the next part are the straps. My masks do not have elastic. For one, I didn't have elastic when I started making them, and I ordered elastic and it hasn't come yet. And so I wanted to just start making things that would be helpful to friends and family. And what I discovered was I actually like the ties better. Elastic will wear out after a certain number of washes, especially at high heat, like we want to do to kill viruses. So I like being able to do the ties. Are a little bit more versatile. So what I have been doing is cutting out 1.5-inch strips. For each mask, you need 2 1.5-inch wide strips of fabric. Now this should still be cotton, but let's say you have a cotton that's not like these. This is a solid cotton. It's not as tightly woven. You do want a tight weave on your cotton. These ones aren't as, solids don't tend to be as tightly woven, so I just use it for the ties because it doesn't matter. They're going around our heads anyhow. So oh, and how long should they be? I've been going from one end of the fabric to the other, which depending on the fabric is about 40 to 44 inches long. They don't need to be quite that long. They could be shorter. So you could cut 1.5 inches by maybe 35. That would be okay, but I'm trying to rush them out. So, all right, so we've got 2 of these and we've got 2 of these, and we're going to make a mask. Okay, so I'm here at my sewing machine. I'm going to do the first step. Now, I cut 2 pieces for a specific reason. I want to have a specific front and back. So you could use accept 2 different fabrics in order to do that, but I'm just going to turn one of them basically inside out. So it'll look like a front and back in reality. So we're going to go ahead and hem these. And I have a white thread in, even though I'm using, I normally would do probably a black thread with this. But you know what? We are in a global crisis, so you use what you can. You could literally do all of this by hand. I'm going kind of slowly. So I'm folding it down about 1/2 inch and I'm just hemming it across. So I did that one. So this is going to be the front of my mask. Now this is going to be the back of my mask. I need to actually make it kind of go backwards, right? So I'm folding down the 1/2 inch, but I'm folding it down over the correct side of the fabric, because the correct side of the fabric on the back of our masks is actually going to be the back of our fabric. So, or be the incorrect. All right, so now I've got a hem here and a hem here. I'm going to match them up just like that. Now you notice I've got a front side of fabric and a back side, right? So I'm going to sew it now together, front and back together, along the bottom at about somewhere between 1/4 of an inch and 1/2 inch, okay? And if it's not perfectly straight, that's okay. Just kind of get it as well as you can. Now I'm going to open it up. I'm going to fold it back over. So now I have a little pocket. I have a pocket on the inside that's hemmed on both sides, going the correct direction. And I'm going to go and iron all of this so it's nice and flat. Okay, so we're here at the ironing board. I've been having my kids help me, and you notice it got a little burnt. That's okay, because, you know, we all help in a crisis. All right, so I like to press it just because it ends up making the finished thing lay a little bit flatter. So, I mean, clearly I didn't press the fabric before I sewed it or before I cut it. So this is an opportunity to do that too. I'm ironing along the seam to sort of flatten it out, and then I am folding it, and I'm going to iron it again on high. With cottons, you do want to use a high iron. You don't need steam. All right, so now I have my pocket. It's still in there, right? Outside. And I'm going to put in my pleats with the iron because you can use pins. I hate pins, so I don't do it. I just sort of I eyeball, and let me tell you, I've made enough of these now in these last few days where I'm getting pretty good at this. But you just kind of eyeball 3 pleats like that, and then I press it down, which makes it easier when I go back to sew the ties on. So that's the next step. Okay, so we're back at the sewing machine, and I'm going to use my tie. I have a center point because there was a crease in it already. So I know where the center is. I'm going to center it on my little 3 pleated on the front. You can do it on the back too. It actually looks a little better that way, but I am not trying to make it super beautiful. I'm just trying to get it done. So either way would be fine. So I actually do a double stitch here because I want to make sure that those pleats are being held down. So I go down and then backwards 1. And now we're going to do the other side. And you'll see that the white thread, the contrast on the black, it's not a problem. And besides, again, we're trying to be safe here. We're not trying to make it gorgeous. All right, so now see when I laid it down, it kind of squished it out. So just be careful about that. I have had to seam rip a couple because I'm not paying attention. All right, so if you go ahead and do that, center your crease again so you've got even sides. If it's a little bit longer on the top, now pleats face down when you have it on your face, so this is the top. If it's a little bit longer on the top side, it's not a big deal because that's actually got further to go. And again, you can use any length here from, I'd say you'd want a minimum of at least about 35 inches. All right, so now I've sewn my pleats down, and on the back side, I turn it so that it's on the back. Now again, you could have sewn these the other way. And now I'm going to the end of my strip. I'm gonna just fold a little bit over like that. I'm gonna fold a little bit over like that and then let them kiss. See, they're not gonna get the virus from each other. There we go. So I'm basically creating a non-bias bias tape. It is not cut on the bias, it's just straight. Because again, trying to be efficient and get these churned out for folks who need them. Now these are being made mainly for people that are not necessarily working with like medical professionals. These are, I've been making them for animal hospitals, people who are doing delivery work, that kind of thing, just as an extra layer of protection. All right, so as you can see, what I'm doing right now is I'm just sort of folding it as I go, and you can, you know, you can do this, you can iron it if you want to before you do it so that it lays a little bit flatter. If you're a person who likes to pin, go ahead and pin it. That's fine. I don't like to pin and I don't like to iron. When I'm not talking and I can just focus on this, I do try to like go a little bit faster, but inevitably when I go fast, my thread breaks or I mess up. So I'm just trying to be measured with how I'm doing that. So there's this. All right. And then I'll double back and forth at the end. I have been trying to trim threads as I go. Again, not a necessity, but certainly helpful when it's all done and I have a stack of 50 to not have to go back and deal with threads. All right, so now again, fold, fold, kiss, and we go through. Now, again, when these masks are on, they do have a little pocket on the inside, and I've heard different strategies for what to put inside that pocket as a filter. You can use a folded up paper towel. You could use a dried baby wipe. You could use, I've heard of people using vacuum filters, like a clean vacuum filter. There are some types of reusable shopping bags whose material is waterproof and breathable, so you could use something like that, like a piece of that on the inside. Mainly whatever you use, you want to be able to take it out so that you can wash the outside of the mask, and theoretically and ideally toss out whatever's on the inside and use a new one every time you might need to do that. But these are really great also for people who maybe used masks for other things, projects or things that you might use a mask for, that since we're trying to give all of our N95 masks to medical professionals right now. And that's it. So this one is actually done, and it can be washed. It can also be microwaved like I talked about. And that's it. There it is. Once it's on the face, I'm not going to model it because I want to be able to use this for someone. I can't put it on my face and without washing it again. All right, so then you do that. It's going to tie on the top and the bottom.